Have you ever wondered if your elderly loved one might be living their final year without anyone noticing? The truth is, death rarely arrives suddenly. Especially in old age, the body often begins sending quiet signals long before the final moment. These are not loud warnings or sharp pains. They are small changes, easy to overlook. But when you look back, you may realize that the signs were always there. The real question is this: are we attentive enough to notice and brave enough to face it? In this video, we will gently walk through 6 important signs. These are quiet messages from the body, clues that someone may be entering the last chapter of life. Whether it's your father, like Mr. George, or your aunt, like Mrs. Helen, each sign carries meaning, and each one gives us a chance to prepare with love. And you, listening to this right now, where are you watching from? Please share your city or country in the comments below. We'd love to know where you're joining us from. If you find meaning in content like this, we invite you to subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss future videos that speak to the heart. Now, let's begin with the first sign, often dismissed, but truly one of the clearest messages the body can send. Sign number 1, significant weight loss, when the body begins to quietly retreat. When Mrs. Margaret started turning away from her favorite breakfast, toast with boiled eggs and chamomile tea, her daughter simply thought it was just part of aging. But months later, her dress no longer fit. Her rings felt loose. She walked slower, and she seemed tired all the time. Weight loss in the elderly is not just about eating less or losing appetite. It can be the very first sign that the body is entering a transition, a point when digestion, nutrient absorption, and muscle mass are all quietly declining. If someone is gradually getting thinner without trying to, don't assume it's normal. As digestion weakens, protein absorption drops. Muscle mass is lost faster. The body produces less energy. They tire easily, feel weaker, and the risk of falling increases. The immune system also fades, making even a minor cold a serious concern. Sometimes, weight loss is also a silent symptom of hidden illnesses like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease. These conditions often progress long before any obvious signs appear. Emotionally, things like depression, loneliness, or mental fog can also lead to eating less, leaving the body starved of fuel and strength. Mr. Roberts' family tried everything: nutritional drinks, hearty soups, even his childhood favorites, but his weight kept dropping. And they realized that force-feeding wasn't the answer. This wasn't just about food anymore. It was about the body refusing to store energy. At this stage, the goal is not to gain weight back, but to offer comfort. Soft, easy-to-digest meals, small portions, plenty of warm fluids. These play a far more important role in the quality of life than big meals full of calories. If you notice someone is losing weight, moving slower, feeling weaker, look deeper. Their body may be sending a quiet message, and recognizing it in time gives you a chance to prepare, with both heart and mind. If you've ever noticed unexplained weight loss in someone you love, type 1 in the comments below. Let's acknowledge what many families have silently gone through. Coming up next is the second sign, when exhaustion is no longer just being tired. Sign number 2, ongoing fatigue, when the body no longer wants to push forward. One morning, Mr. Thomas tried to get out of bed just to brush his teeth. After only a few steps, he had to sit down. He was breathless, eyes closed. "I just need a moment," he said, and he sat there until noon. This kind of exhaustion isn't the same as being tired after a long day. It is deep, persistent, and overwhelming. It seeps into every little action: getting dressed, climbing stairs, holding a cup of water, and turns them into tasks that feel impossible. In elderly people nearing their final year, fatigue becomes more than a symptom. It becomes a way of being. The heart slows, blood circulation weakens, organs receive less oxygen, and the body starts conserving energy just to maintain the basics: breathing, heartbeat, awareness. Loved ones may mistake this as giving up or being lazy, but the truth is their energy is simply gone. Even a small conversation can drain their strength for the entire day. Mrs. Eleanor used to be full of life, hosting tea with neighbors every afternoon, but she began declining invitations, skipping family gatherings. Everyone thought she was upset or withdrawn, but in truth, she was just too tired to engage. At this point, it's not about pushing them to stay active. It's about understanding their rhythm, slowing down, creating peace around them. A soft bed, gentle lighting, quiet presence. These are more healing than any routine or medication. If your loved one sleeps more, avoids talking, or shows signs of constant fatigue, pay attention. This isn't laziness. It's a slow and gentle goodbye, written in silence and stillness. If you've ever watched someone lose their energy little by little, leave a 2 in the comments. Your story matters, and others may feel less alone through it. Up next, we'll look at a more subtle change, when memory and mood begin to shift quietly, long before anyone notices. Sign number 3, mental confusion and withdrawal. When the mind no longer wants to stay in the present. Mr. Frank used to be the storyteller of the family, especially about his days in the Navy. But lately, his son noticed something had changed. His father forgot names, repeated questions that had just been answered, and sometimes sat by the window for hours without saying a word. Many people think this is just part of getting older. But in truth, when memory and clarity begin to fade, it can be a sign that the brain is slowly disconnecting from the world around it. Just like the heart and lungs, the brain needs oxygen and steady blood flow to function. When circulation slows, so does the mind. The person may become more forgetful. They might lose track of time, names, or familiar places. But the most noticeable change is that they begin to withdraw. They avoid eye contact, speak less, and choose silence over interaction. This doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It means their senses are overwhelmed. Even simple conversations can feel too much. The world becomes noisy and confusing, and so they retreat inward to a place that feels safer. Mrs. Charlotte, once a devoted grandmother who loved caring for her grandkids, started pulling away. She spoke less, smiled less, and no longer seemed interested in family events. But when asked about her childhood, she lit up. Every detail came alive, as if she had just lived it yesterday. This is a tender sign that the mind is moving away from the present, finding shelter in memory. There, things are familiar, safe, not as heavy. At this stage, don't try to bring them back with logic or correction. Instead, sit beside them, hold their hand, look into their eyes. A gentle touch can speak louder than any word, because even when speech is gone, emotion remains. If your parent or grandparent has ever gone quiet or seemed distant in a way you couldn't explain, leave a 3 in the comments. You are not alone in feeling that shift. Up next, we'll explore another physical sign, often dismissed, but deeply important, when simple colds and small cuts start taking far too long to heal. Sign number 4, recurring infections and slow healing when the body's defenses begin to shut down. Mrs. Nancy had always been strong. Winters passed with barely a sneeze. But in recent months, even the smallest breeze seemed to trigger days of coughing. A tiny cut on her hand took nearly 2 weeks to heal. Her daughter started noticing something deeper was happening. In people nearing the end of life, the immune system becomes noticeably weaker. The body no longer responds to viruses or bacteria the way it used to. A mild cold can lead to pneumonia. A small scrape may become a lingering wound. At this stage, the body's natural ability to heal is nearly exhausted. Blood flows slower. Cells receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Everything, no matter how small, takes longer to recover. For those who are bedridden or immobile, risks increase even more. Pressure sores, skin infections, urinary tract issues. Even a common flu can become life-threatening. Mr. Walter's family didn't worry too much when he started coughing. They took him to the doctor. He got medication. But the medicine wasn't working like before. They switched prescriptions. He slept more, ate less. And they realized this wasn't about curing anymore. It was time to comfort. People often believe their loved one isn't eating or cooperating. But the truth is, the body can no longer process what it once could. And pushing them to eat or take strong medications may only add to their discomfort. Now, the focus should shift from fighting to comforting. Clean sheets, gentle care, soft clothes, moisturizing the skin, a warm drink. These become acts of love, more powerful than any treatment. It's also important to know that infections in the elderly don't always show typical symptoms. They might not have a fever or express pain. Sometimes they just seem more tired, eat less, or drift into silence. Noticing these early allows us to support them better, not to prolong life at all costs, but to make each day softer, kinder. If your loved one has ever battled repeated illnesses or had wounds that wouldn't heal, type 4 in the comments. Let's honor the silent strength they showed. Next, we'll talk about something even quieter: how breathing changes and what it truly means when the body begins to slow with every breath. Sign number 5: changes in breathing and circulation. When life begins to slow down, one breath at a time. One evening, Mr. Harold was resting in his recliner, like he always did. But his daughter noticed something different. His breathing wasn't steady. Sometimes it was short, sometimes long. At one point, he even stopped breathing for a few seconds before taking another breath. His hands felt cold. His fingertips looked slightly purple. Something was shifting inside his body. In the final stages of life, breathing becomes one of the most honest signals. It turns shallow, uneven. Sometimes it speeds up. Other times, there are long pauses between breaths. Some people breathe through their mouths because their nose no longer allows enough air. Others begin a pattern known as cyclical breathing: deep breaths, then a pause, then slow breathing again. Circulation slows as well. Blood is no longer reaching the outer areas of the body, like the hands, feet, ears, or nose. That's why older adults at this stage often feel cold, have pale skin, or purple lips. The body is starting to focus on protecting only the vital organs, like the heart and brain, and lets go of the rest. Even simple actions like sitting up in bed, walking a few steps, or saying a sentence can cause breathlessness. Many begin sleeping upright with extra pillows, or prefer sitting on the couch rather than lying down flat. Mrs. Irene's family once called the doctor in a panic when she started gasping at night. But after examining her, the doctor gently said, "Her body is entering energy-saving mode. Right now, the goal isn't to fix, it's to comfort. And that's true. At this point, we shift from healing to soothing, keeping the room cool, adding pillows, using a humidifier, wiping dry lips with a warm cloth, offering tiny sips of water. These small gestures bring more comfort than any prescription. Remember, these signs don't appear all at once. They come little by little, quietly. But if you watch closely, with your heart, you'll see them. And when someone starts breathing differently, or their skin feels cold, that's the moment to stay close, not to fix, but to simply love. If you've ever held someone's hand while they were breathing slower and slower, type 5 in the comments. Your presence mattered more than you know. Next, we'll move into a quieter space. The mind begins to fade. The voice softens, but deep inside, the heart is still speaking. Sign number 6, slower speech, deeper memories, when the soul is gently letting go. One afternoon, Mrs. Dorothy's granddaughter was telling her about school. Dorothy didn't say much. She smiled faintly. Then, almost out of nowhere, she shared a story about meeting her husband for the first time over 60 years ago. A moment later, she asked, "What day is it again?" A question she'd already asked a few times that morning. These moments, forgetting the present but recalling the distant past in detail, are not just signs of old age. They are among the most delicate signs that someone is slowly stepping away from this world. The mind is no longer as sharp. Sentences slow down. Thoughts pause mid-sentence. Their eyes often drift, searching for the right words, as if digging deep inside for something they can still hold on to. Mr. Lawrence, once a brilliant engineer, sometimes no longer recognized his own son. But he could still describe, in vivid detail, his first day on the job nearly 5 decades ago. Family members were puzzled. Why does he forget us but remember things from long ago? The answer is simple. The present feels too heavy, but the past feels light and safe. When a loved one repeats the same old stories or mentions people who've passed on, they don't need correcting. They need listening, because in those memories, they feel peace, no pain, no confusion, just a sense of home. They may forget your name, the date, even important moments you shared. But don't take it to heart, because in their quiet way, they're saying goodbye, gently, slowly, and with love. And you, even if they can't call your name, are still the most important person in the room. Your presence, your patience, your hand in theirs, that is the final bond, the last connection between two hearts. If someone you love has ever told you the same story again and again, and you listened anyway, leave a 6 in the comments, because you gave them something precious, the comfort of being heard. Now, we'll bring this journey to a close, not with sorrow, but with love, with what still matters, presence, kindness, and meaning in each moment left. Final conclusion. If you're still here, listening with your heart until the very end, thank you. Not just for your time, but for your willingness to understand, to care, and to prepare. We all know that no one lives forever, but the hardest part isn't accepting loss. It's learning how to make the most of the time that remains, for our loved ones and for ourselves. The 6 signs you've just heard are not meant to cause fear. They are meant to bring light to a path that is often clouded by uncertainty and silence. Because when we see the signs clearly, we can hug more tightly. We can listen more patiently. We can love more deeply. And we can say goodbye, not with regret, but with peace. If you are caring for your mother like Mrs. Ruth, or watching your father like Mr. Peter, breathe a little slower each day. Please know this: your presence, your patience, your love are the most powerful gifts you can give. Even when they no longer remember your name, even when they no longer speak, the emotions remain, the connection remains, and their final glance may still carry all the love they ever had for you. Please take a moment to leave a comment below. Tell us what this video meant to you. Share a memory of someone you love. Even a few simple words can bring comfort to someone else reading today. If you believe this message brought you peace or clarity, we invite you to subscribe to the channel. We'll be here to walk with you gently through these precious final chapters of life, with understanding, with compassion, and with hope. Thank you for being with us. We wish you strength, peace, and love wherever your path may lead.